Annyeong! Welcome to Delightful! We've reached the color blue in our rainbow candy series of dolls, and I'm about to tell you why blue is the most interesting color in the candy world. Artificial colors and flavors are old news to us these days, but back when the completely made-up blue raspberry flavor was being developed in a lab, rumors and controversy abound. Long story short, because the market was already saturated with red-colored flavors like cherry, strawberry, and watermelon, companies developed a new flavor and used the recently approved by the FDA blue dye number 1 to help their products stand out amongst the competition. Although the flavor was debatably created around the late 1950s, it only really took off in the 70s when combined with the exciting, brilliant blue colorant and hit the mass market for sweet treats. It's an interesting bit of history. For these reasons, and my own nostalgic reasons, I wanted to feature the icy in Blue's design. I started out knowing that I had to use the icy snow cone as some kind of helmet, and then the rest fell into place. The roller derby look was perfect for her. How cute are those sweet tart wheels? Like other dolls in the series, her clothes are chock-a-block full of references to candy logos and wrappers and sweet treats, anything blue. I also want her to have more in common with my red doll than any of the other colors because of the history of the food dye. So she's a similar height, has a big backpack, lots of logos on the top, short skirt, you see the parallels. Alright, enough about the interesting history of blue raspberry. Make the doll already. For the base, I'll be using Twyla from Monster High, Generation 3. She's short and cute, and I've always liked Twyla's face shape. I've already prepared the doll for customizing, so she's ready to be transformed. First things first, we need to paint the doll's skin. Welcome to the man cave. This is where the airbrush station lives now. I gently rough up the plastic with a fine-grade sandpaper to help give the surface a little tooth, and then select my paints. I'm mixing white and pale pink. Whoa, that was an accident! And siphon them through a sieve and into my airbrush. This helps the paint flow without clogging the airbrush, a very important step. The aim is to have a very pale but natural skin tone, so pale as to almost look blue, of course. I gave her 2 coats, mostly focusing on the areas that will show in the end, like the face, neck, and hands. You can see I didn't bother fully coating her legs or midsection. Coat the body with matte varnish to seal the paint and let that dry. Okay, gently squeeze the head back onto the body. There we go. Because this doll has been painted, she's inherently more delicate than your average plastic doll, so I wrap the body in fabric first before I tackle the face. Before I begin the face-up proper, I take my Mungyo soft pastels and dust on some tans and light pink colors. I think I misjudged my color mixing with the airbrush and she came out way too pale, so I'm trying to nudge the skin tone back into the realm of reality with a heavy application of pastels. I sketch on the eyebrows, lash line, eyelid, and pupil with a sky blue pencil. The placement looks roughly correct, so I bring in the darker and more saturated colors. Although she's the blue doll, I chose a contrasting red for her eyes. Inspired by the icy, of course. One thing I like to do, and I've seen lots of artists do this as well, is fade to a darker color at the end of the eyebrow. Doesn't that look nice? For fine lines and to reach tight spots like the nostrils and lips, I often wet the watercolor pencil and apply it to the face using the tiniest of brushes. On a whim, I chose to give her upper lip a dark blue color and her bottom lip a cyan color. Pretty funky, huh? That's the face-up drawn for the most part. That was quick. I think my face-ups tend to have bold colors and relatively simple designs, so they go together fast. After another coat of sealant, it's just a matter of building up color and opacity and adding subtle color shifts from here on out. Don't forget those eye shines! Let's dab them on in gesso this time. Aw yeah. One last layer of sealant, and then you can add glossy varnish if you like. For her hair, I'll be using 100% acrylic yarn in, you guessed it, the icy colors of bright blue, red, and white. Now I'll be honest, my favorite fiber for doll hair is nylon, but try as I might, using nylon doll hair for short hairstyles is very challenging. And if your hairstyle has some poof to it, yarn is basically your only option. So, cut some strings, comb them out, iron them flat, and before you know it, you've turned yarn into wefts. Cut those off and glue them to a plastic sheet. Prepare a large number of these because if you're anything like me, you end up needing more than you expect. Once fully dry, peel them off and trim the glued edges. With my couple wefts all prepared, they're ready to be used on the doll. If you've never done the glued weft method on a doll before, it can look messy and confusing, but the only thing you really need to think about is how to hide the edges. Oftentimes, this means you glue it on in reverse so that you can fold it over and get a clean, parted edge. I left ample space for the bangs so that I have plenty of room to glue in wefts and make her fringe nice and full. Wait to style it until the next day when the glue is well and truly dry because you don't want to rush it and tug off any hair. Finish styling the hair with a wet toothbrush to shape and sculpt the fiber into place. I don't know if it'll stay like this once it dries, but it's super cute and looks exactly like my concept art. Let's set the doll aside for now and focus on the clothes. As you no doubt know at this point if you've watched the previous colors in the series, I designed and photoshopped together the clothes patterns for all the dolls well in advance so that I could get the fabric custom made with all my designs on it. Blue's outfit was a slight alteration of the sweater and leggings pattern I have available on my Etsy shop. I cropped the sweater about an inch shorter to fit Twyla and make room for her skirt, essentially making it a crop top sweater. Then I photoshopped on a plethora of blue candy and sweet treat logos. We're talking Oreos, Chips Ahoy, Crunch Bars, anything blue raspberry of course, and I had to put the York Peppermint Patty logo front and center because that's like my absolute favorite mint chocolate. It looks great on the screen, but how'd it turn out in real life? Pretty good, I'd say. It printed nice and sharp, although I don't think the blue is quite as bright as it appears on the screen. Printers tend to have issues with that cyan color, don't they? Piece by piece, I stitched the little jumper together. First the shoulder seams, then the turtleneck, then the sleeves, and so on until I finish it in the back with Velcro. And wouldn't you know it, I even have blue Velcro! I had to find this online, but it's a tiny doll-sized Velcro and it's really come in handy for my projects. For her skirt, I'm using 2 layers of different materials. The underlayer will use this plasticky raincoat material. Yeah, it's the same stuff I used for Aurora's wings. I thought it looked candy wrapper-esque in this context. Then on top of that, I will gather a layer of sparkly tulle. Isn't this pretty fabric? It's left over from an Elsa cosplay I did ages ago. No, I'm not brave enough to show you a photo of that. Next, let's sculpt her accessories with air-dry clay. For those who don't know, I'm an American living in South Korea with my husband, who is a native, and he had never heard of Icy or any of the blue candies that I included in this doll. I guess Korea didn't have ring pops or baby bottle pops or Hubba Bubba bubble tape or any of the things I find charming and nostalgic, so this doll looked pretty strange to his eye. I roll out a long snake to form the slushy swirl on top of her hat. That looks, okay, try again. Well, look, I was looking right at a photo of an Icy when I sculpted this, so I cannot be blamed for the shape. I'm just recreating what I see with my eyes. Okay, everything's sculpted. It's time to paint. Her little ring pop is absolutely darling, isn't it? Would this have looked better if I'd made it out of resin? Maybe. But to be honest with you, my resin pieces never turn out as good as I want them to, and they haven't aged well. So yeah, please forgive me for using paint this time. Same thing for all these Jolly Ranchers. I thought I could be clever and use hot glue dripped over the baby bottle pop to give it a clear lid. I used hot glue in a similar way to make a water bottle one time, I think, and I recall it going well, but unfortunately in this scenario the glue turned cloudy and it completely obscured the bottle pop inside. It looked bad enough that I decided to cut it off, make a new candy part, and forego the lid entirely. A bit of a shame, but this does look better, right? Let's paint the icy swirl. Surely once it's blue, it won't look like, yeah, it just looks like a blue poo now. Come on, glitter, help me out here, I'm doing my best. Oh, thank God, I think the glitter sells it. Tell me the glitter sells it. I add a classic red straw to the icy swirl, and then glue it to a 6 centimeter diameter acrylic hemisphere. A couple more goodies clustered around the swirl. And then, to get it to look more like a plastic lid, I cut off the ridges from a real plastic lid, stitch the ends together to form a smaller circle, and glue it to my project. It would have been easier to use the real thing, but of course that would be too large for the doll. To get the hat to stay on her head, I add magnets. I would have planted the magnet under her hair if I had planned ahead for this, but I was going to do straps until I changed my mind at the last minute. For her knee pads, I sculpted these contact lens-shaped bits of clay and glued fabric on top. Then I added ribbon straps with more of that thin Velcro sewn to the ends. Want to see how to turn any pair of doll shoes into roller skates? Pluck a soda can out of the recycle bin. Hey look, blue Powerade, how appropriate. Harvest 2 thin strips of metal from the can. Then, using a paper template that I folded and figured out ahead of time, I score the aluminum and fold it into this shape around 2 wooden toothpicks. Use an awl to stab 2 holes into the bottom. And then shape a custom staple out of spare wire and stab the whole thing into the bottom of the doll shoe. Pop the wheels onto the axles, and with a little glue, the whole thing holds together quite well. Although, do bend the staples flat on the inside of the sole so your doll can still put on the shoes. With some super cute candy colors painted on top, the sweet tart roller skates are done! Aren't they so cute? Appropriately, these were a pair of shoes from the Rainbow High doll series, so I kept the rainbow text at the front of the shoe. We're going to use a real Hubba Bubba bubble tape container for her backpack. That's a mouthful. Not much to change, really. All I do is create a disc of mat board with ribbon straps attached, and then glue that to the bottom half of the gum dispenser so the backpack can still open. What do you think she keeps in there? Maybe a tumbler? Her phone? Some books? And what's that? Why, it's the molecular structure for blue dye number 1! Her dirty little secret! She'll keep it nice and safe in there. Let's not forget her rock candy baseball bat. This item also uses a real piece of candy. Now, I had to order these online because I don't live near any natural history museum gift shops, which is a real shame. These candies are similar, but not as chunky and glorious as I remember them looking from when I was a kid. These also seem to have turned a bit greener since I bought them several months ago, but hey, this is what I have to work with, I guess. I wrap a bigger, shinier piece of vinyl around the stick and secure it with a silver twist tie. Gosh, this doll sure has a lot of accessories, huh? Let's assemble everything together. Stab the ring onto the doll's finger. Sew on all the little Jolly Rancher hard candies to the rim of her skirt. Strap on the knee pads, etc., until the doll is finally done. Or is she? As so often is the case, once the doll is put together and I take a step back, I notice things. With such a detailed outfit, I was hoping a simple face would add balance to the design, but in reality, it falls flat. I think all she needs is a little extra sparkle.
These small rhinestones should help add a touch of that hard candy feeling to the face. And how about blue glitter eyeshadow?
Yes, now she's reading as a frosted treat. That's more like it. Let's take it to the photo shoot. Say hello to Berri. Despite my attempts to warm up and color the skin, she still came out incredibly pale. Maybe she looks even colder due to the blue hair and makeup, you know, relative color and all that. Aren't the gummy bear earrings cute? They were actual earrings I owned but never wore. I'm glad it gives the doll a touch of that translucent blue candy texture since I chickened out on doing any resin pieces myself. Thank you so much for joining me! Look at all these colorful candy dolls! There's only one color left! I'll meet you back here in due time for the last doll in the series. I hope you like grape flavor. Stay artsy! Annyeong!